Shenanigans, Shady Town, Mama's Couch. What's going on with the Nico Iamaleava story? The weekend has been full of revelations. Let me try to summarize them for you here. So Nico, I notified the offensive coordinator on Friday evening that he planned to enter the portal on Wednesday. When he didn't show up at practice on Friday, which was unexpected by everybody's description, the Tennessee folks tried to reach out to Nico and his folks, radio silence. Nobody had heard from Nico since Thursday night, and Friday when he came in and was the first time that they knew that he was planning to leave. But that's not really where the story started. So the story started at the end of last season. Okay, so apparently Nico's people were dissatisfied with the protection that he was getting on the offensive line. He wasn't protected enough. And so in the stories I read, it was Nico's people demanded that Tennessee go out and get some offensive linemen in the portal. Now, whether or not that's true, Tennessee did, in fact, go out on the portal, and they picked up 2 offensive linemen. Okay? As I understand it, Nico's people thought that was not good enough and started weighing options. So it looks then that weighing options meant a couple things: attempting to rework his deal and threatening to hit the portal if they were not able to get a new deal worked out. So they tried to rework his deal up to $4 million, and this was in January before the close of the winter portal. Okay. Tennessee expressed no interest in reworking his deal. Now, let's recap on what his deal was. Reportedly, he was making $2.4 million a year on a potential 8-year deal. $8 million deal. Okay. Math doesn't quite add up, so roughly that's true. But it is also reported that he was also getting money from them in high school. Remember, last time we discussed that Nico was one of those people that got Tennessee caught up in those NCAA violations about using NIL and collective dollars as an inducement. So clearly they were doing that, because it's reported that his deal, given the payments that he received in high school, was roughly $10 million. Okay, so $10 million, they aren't satisfied. They're threatening to hit the portal. Okay, so when they make those threats, they have done some proactive reach out. So Nico's people apparently reached out to Oregon, Notre Dame, USC, UCLA, and Texas Tech. Now we know that the Oregon coach snitched, said he was not interested, and called the Tennessee coach. Now, before we give him credit for being altruistic and supporting the quality and integrity of the game, we need to understand that Oregon also is on a mission. And they've got Nike founder dollars to help them achieve that mission. So they do not have clean hands in this story. But because Oregon's head coach and Tennessee's head coach are boys, he did him a solid. Hey, you need to know that your boy is out here shopping. Okay. So that was in January. So as I understand it, things essentially calmed down after that. They wanted more money. Tennessee said no. They tested the portal. They didn't get any quality pickups based on that test, and things just kind of quieted down. Now, note that Nico was redshirted his freshman year, his first year. Okay, so dude was not even eligible to play because he was redshirted, and he was still bringing home $2.4 million in addition to whatever he got in high school. So they're $5 million into this dude. He hadn't played a snap Okay. So this school year was his first year. He's a redshirt freshman this past football season. He has 3 years of eligibility left. Okay. And he apparently was shopping. Now, understand that he cannot move within the SEC. So the SEC has a rule that essentially says you cannot move within the conference in the spring portal. And I'm sorry that I stumbled over that. Okay. So if you want to hit the portal in April, you're free to do so, SEC athlete. If you go to another SEC school, you got to take a year off. You are not immediately eligible. So by that definition, okay, Nico has no place to go in the SEC, which is one of the reasons that none of the schools that they called were in the SEC. Okay, so now that gets us to what happened in the last 72, 96 hours. Okay, so all was quiet. Nico was attending practice. As I understand it from the reporting, his father and his agent were really running the show. Really, his dad was on point, making all decisions, and everyone essentially was falling in line, including Nico. Okay, so it suggested that he didn't know that any of this was going on behind the scenes, which is why he could go to the team dinners on Thursday and act like everything was fine, because in his mind, from what he could see, if we believe the reporting, he knew none of this was happening. And so in his mind, everything was fine. So this is a tad distressing, but this appears to be what might actually be true. Okay, so how did it go south? Well, apparently, after all this stuff happened in January and things quieted down, okay, at this point, the coach knew back in January, okay, that his team was sniffing for a new deal. Let's see if the portal was going to work for them. So, Tennessee coach was not unaware that all this stuff was happening in the background. Okay? But what apparently happened was the agent stepped out of line and decided that he was going to attempt to re-establish negotiations with Tennessee. And apparently, if we believe the reporting, okay, Nick, the dad, was unaware that that was happening. And he was surprised, like everyone else, when On3.com reported that Nico's NIL deal was under renegotiation. Can you imagine that? Went behind his back and started renegotiations without consent or permission? That's crazy. Anyway, that appears to be where it landed. Okay? And so everyone was blindsided. Nico didn't know it was coming. And here they are now realizing they got a problem because the agent has overplayed his hand. Okay? So, what might happen? You know what I said last time, and I've said it before. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. You see all the shenanigans. There's plenty of shady town in it. What might happen? Well, I call a successful transfer portal move is one where the athlete ends up better off, or at least no worse off than they were at the original place. Okay? So, he could end up in a lateral move. I think that's his best case. I do not think that at this point in the year, he is going to get a richer deal than what he had at Tennessee. So he may get picked up by another powerful program, but on no better deal terms than he has right now. Okay, lateral move. I think that's his best case. Why do I say that? Late in the season, everybody's trying to get their QB locked in. Okay, they've spent all their excess dollars, so they got some dollars sitting around for some spring activity. But the big dollars, they attempted to lock those in. So I don't think they have that money. Other schools have that $2, $3, $4, $5 million sitting on the table, especially not $4 million, which is what he was asking for apparently per year. So option number 1, lateral move, power 4, ends up no worse off than he is right now. Option 2 is his brand is sufficiently diminished because of all this that he gets passed by many of the power 4 programs and he has to go down market. Worse off. Not great, not as strong a program. Dollar's not nearly as strong. Facilitates the transfer, not a better deal. Option 3, he's now toxic. Mama's couch. Nobody picks him up. One thing for sure, today is Monday, and we'll know, starting as early as Wednesday, what happens to Nico. So it's unfortunate if he was unaware that all this was happening to him. But we are where we are. As always, let me know what you think.